Hello, friends. I'm starting just a couple minutes early today so that I can share this out on all of the locations and start actually on time. So if you're just joining, welcome, welcome. Grab a journal if you don't already have one. I am just setting this up on the other Facebook locations. Start Instagram. Aw, hi, Ishri, my love in Israel. How are you, my sister and friend? Start. For those joining, we're just taking a couple of minutes here to get set up on all of the platforms. Okay. Rachel's riding a bike and listening. That's awesome. Okay. For anybody who's on my personal Facebook page, aka probably my personal family and friends, if you want to click over to my work page, you're going to get I can't see your comments on my personal page when I'm doing this, so it's better if you're on the public page. But Ishri and Rachel and Kathy, you are on. Oh, Diana too. I love our community. I love feeling so close to you all doing this. Okay, I'm going to start Instagram. And we're going to get going. Hello, hello, everybody. How are you today? Wednesday, March 25th. Hello, Pat. Hello, friends joining. First of all, I just want to invite you all. We're going to be having a discussion, and then we are going to be doing an interactive experience. And we're also going to be doing some creative writing, some journaling. So if you don't have a pad of paper and some pens, grab some, or one pen at least. I'm feeling the whole rainbow of color today. So if you don't have that, please grab that. Thank you, Pat. I'm sure you're looking gorgeous wherever you are too. Thanks, Olivier. Olivier is my fashion consultant. Hi, Leah. Hello, everybody. Hello, friends in Canada. Oh my gosh. And Sweden, and Switzerland, and Key Biscayne. Thank you for joining. We've got Israel on Facebook. Oh, a couple of Israel. Yeah, we have South America. This is a global community. I love it. Okay. So hello, Heather, everybody joining. So for those of you who didn't hear, please grab a journal. We're going to be doing some writing today. We have a really interesting experience planned, and I actually did the experience this morning. It was so powerful. So I think it will be for you too. I hope it is for you too. And I really want to invite you all to make this a very deep interpersonal experience, because today's topic is on relationships, and the most important thing that I've seen and experienced in this group is that we are forming connection from all corners of the planet. And what I love too is that many of you are bringing your partners into this experience. You're bringing people who may never have meditated or done creative writing or looked at these things. So we're really expanding the web out. And the reason for that is there's a deep need. So first of all, to check in, today's topic, relationships. Please tell the truth. How are your relationships feeling in this moment? Anybody feeling the heat, the volume turned up on your relationships? Now, this could be in all directions. So anytime we go into moments of intensity, the volume really gets turned up. So it gets turned up on the good things. We start to feel a sense of gratitude, a deeper sense of love, a deeper sense of appreciation, a deeper acknowledgement of the importance that people have in our lives, especially when we're afraid to lose them. It also turns up the volume on the challenging experiences. So in a lot of relationships, especially our older relationships, we start to feel the heat, the old stories, the old, you could call them the like playlist of thoughts that come up in those relationships, the old interactions, the old belief systems. And in newer relationships, we also start to see the full humanity of people, right? Because when we're in times of stress, all of a sudden it becomes increasingly obvious what not just the person's beautiful sides are, but also the challenging sides. And even though in new relationships, whether it's a friendship or a love or whatever, even though at first we may feel like we're in the fairy tale, we start to see when people are stressed, we start to see the full spectrum of their humanity. And so that provides a really interesting opportunity. And I really want to say it like this, as an opportunity, because when we are going through challenging circumstances, we have the biggest opportunity to find connection in the places where there may have been conflict. We have the biggest opportunity to really see and love the whole human and not just parts of them. So I want to tune in for a second to the comments you've been sharing. Heather said, it felt hard in the beginning, less communication. Now we feel a little closer and empathetic. Yeah. Processing a lot together. Juan and Linda down in Argentina. Amazing. Oh, thanks, Olivier. I'm grateful for you. You're amazing too. So yeah, so we start to see the people who are the most important in our lives. We start to see the role they're playing in our lives. We start to see both the beautiful sides and the challenging. So we're getting we can think of it that way. We're increasing our perspective. We're starting to see the bigger picture, which is a blessing, because living only in like one part of the illusion that like everything's great, everything's cheery, that's not really fair. Now, I want to ask a question here, really important. How many of you, and I want to ask you this, and I please ask everyone watching to respond. We've got about 40 people between Facebook and Instagram in this live moment. How many of you have done something you regret in a relationship in the past couple of days? Like over emotionally reacted to something, said something you regret, not showed up for somebody when they needed you, reverted into an old pattern, into an old story. Anybody out there? Anybody out there having that experience? I know I'm not the only one. I totally did this morning. I had like a political vent to my family, which was not the place for it. Yeah, so, oh yeah, me, yeah. Okay, so please like feel connection in this. I want everyone to have a chance to say, I've made bad relationship moments, so that we can feel human, so that we can feel authentic. Yeah, definitely. So, and please feel free to share. Yes, Danielle, hi Danielle, says yes, being short in patience and wanting more personal space when we all need to share the space. Yeah, for sure. Oh, look at that. What a great name. 2020, loving the time of Corona. Yeah, I love that name, by the way. But so revealing, because I can see myself so much more clear. Yeah, yes, right there. That. Hi, Leah, love it. So what we see happening here is that the things that we normally can like gloss over in the busyness or the day-to-day, or the things that that we maybe aren't tuning into as problems in the relationship, suddenly when you put something under pressure or under stress, it starts to really announce itself. So in some ways, this is a really beautiful growth experience. This is a chance to really tune in to where are the places that I'm going away from myself in my relationship with myself. Where are the places that I'm going away from my relationship with my partner, if you have a partner, or with your family or with your friends? Because these are the times when the relationships that are closest to us are getting put in the pressure cooker. And we have the choice, we have the chance to decide, how am I going to respond to this situation in a way that creates connection and not in a way that creates division and conflict. Now, a really interesting thing that we talked about in another session was this. Any place that you have conflict in your life is a place where connection is not occurring. Now, you can be connected even if you're disagreeing with people. And a lot of times we will create conflict because we actually need connection. That is an old pattern. That is something we perhaps learned in childhood. It's something we perhaps learned in the office. It's perhaps something we don't even know where we learned, but it's just a part of ourselves. Oftentimes when we cause a conflict in a relationship, it's because on a deeper, like I would say a subconscious level, we're wanting to be seen. We're wanting to have connection. We're wanting to have attention. And sometimes if we're not getting love from one place, we will actually subconsciously create a conflict because we want to show people like, I'm hurting, I need to be felt, I need to be seen, I need to be heard. And so in some ways, it's you can oftentimes see children doing this. If they don't get attention paid to them, they'll start turning up the volume on the things that they're doing so that they can get the attention that they're looking for. And so when we look at those older patterns, we can start to see, am I doing this? Am I causing conflict in a relationship because what I really need is love? Because what I really need is some part of me that's not being seen or felt or heard to be seen and felt and heard. And to be really kind and patient with that. Because for some of us, a lot of times we get attention for the things that we do that are good. Like we get attention for if we succeed at something, or if we're smart at something, or if we're good at something. Liz just joined. She and I were talking about that in the early hours of the morning. Sometimes we get attention for the things that like are our strengths. And so sometimes what we need to do in relationships is look at, how do we start to create conflict or tension because some hurting part of ourselves underneath wants to be seen and felt and heard? And a lot of times that point of conflict that comes up is the real root of it. Now, is this making sense? You can send out some little hearts or say no if it's not making sense, because I really want this point to land. Because if we are going to meet each other in relationships, we can't just look at the strengths. We've got to look at the places inside of the people we love that is hurting and that needs to be seen. So is it making sense? And say no if it's not, because I really want to like nail that before we get to the next place. Okay, so when we can identify inside of ourselves, first of all, the place that needs to be, we could say, felt, seen, heard. If we can identify that part of ourselves, we are in a huge position of strength, because we can start to ask that part of ourselves that feels emotionally insecure, that feels not good enough, that feels a low sense of self-worth. We can start to ask that part of ourselves, what does that part of ourselves need to feel fully seen, felt, and heard? And then when we come into a potential conflict with someone in our lives, we can ask the question, first of all, before we even approach the person with our words or with our actions, we can ask the question, this person who's really close to me is having this expression of anger or fear or self-doubt, and it's coming out like this in a way that might not even make sense. What part of them needs to feel safe? What part of them needs to feel seen and heard? When we can do that, we have the chance to peel back the story that's on the surface, because there's always a story on the surface, right? Anybody out there ever found yourself telling long, lengthy stories about situations when really the underlying piece is that there's something hurting, that you feel sad or angry or afraid? Anybody out there ever done that? I have. Like I said, I did it today. So when we find these moments in ourselves or in somebody in our life, we need to go down into the root of it and ask the question, how can I create safety around this for myself, for the person? And can we meet in the safe space, in the space in between the two conflicts where real connection can occur? Can we meet in that space between? There's that beautiful Rumi quote, in between right and wrong, there is a field. I'll meet you there. Can we find a way to meet in the field, in the middle? And then to get down into the root of it, like what needs to be seen here, what needs to be felt here, what needs to be heard here. If we can do that, if you can ask the people in your life, what do you need to feel safe in this experience? And have a really sincere question about it. A really sincere conversation about it, rather. If you can do that, you will start to prepare the ground where everyone can thrive in this very stressful and challenging circumstance. And then next time conflict comes up, before you have your emotional reaction to it, ask yourself the question, why am I having this response? What part of this is this situation hitting in me that I'm coming up and having this response? Now, I also want to turn just slightly away from the relationships piece and turn slightly to the realization that we have relationships with not just people. We have relationships with nature. We have relationships with objects. We have relationships with circumstances, with thought patterns. We have relationships with all sorts of different things. When we're in a stressful circumstance, like we are right now, old patterns are going to come up. Now, I had a friend call last night who is a really beloved soul who has made so much evolution, so much personal development process. And she said, Molly, I want to call and tell you that I'm drinking too much. I want to say it out loud that I'm drinking too much. And she said that to me, and she said, right as I just said that, I'm so afraid to tell you that. Like, I feel like embarrassed that I said it. I feel like I'm weak. I feel ashamed. And so the first thing was, okay, thank you for telling me. And I'm using this as an example because I'm sure you have people in your life who are coming to you with their fears. And this is an example of how you can work with that. Okay, so tell me more about that. What's happening in the moment before you want a drink? What's happening in the moment before you lose your peace and want to go for that old place of dependency where you diverted your attention? What's happening in that place? And how can we meet that place? How can we feed that place? How can we give that place what it needs so that you don't need to go have a drink? And when we started having that conversation, it started becoming more and more clear. She said, I need to call and talk to you more. I need to have more people in my life. I need to have more friends. I need to go outside and be in nature more. I need to do more meditation. I need to come back to my practice. She already knew the answer to her question. I didn't have to tell her. She already knew the answer. It was just a mirror. It was just a reminder of what we need. So in situations like that, where you start to see your old patterns coming up, notice it. And instead of feeling ashamed or guilty or fearful, approach it like you would a friend and say, just as I did to my friend, can I approach that part of myself that's feeling scared and angry or hurt and say to myself, what does this part of me need? What is this part of me? Why is this part of me acting out in this way? Why is this part of me picking the fight or picking the pattern? You know, like we all know how we pick our fights. We all have our ways we do it with ourselves and with other people. So how can we, in that moment, really meet it? And like Pat just texted, trusting that we have the answers within. We do have the answers inside of ourselves. We do in every single moment. And if there's a mantra, you know, I really encourage you, write your mantras out and put them on the walls. One of mine, and it has been for 20 years, is every moment is paired with its perfect response. In the moment, if you drop back into awareness and really listen for the answer, you have the answer. You know the answer. It's just that this brain gets in the way. The brain gets in the way and starts telling the old stories, the old tapes, you know, the old playlists. We all have our like top 10 favorite playlists of, you know, coping mechanisms or destructive habits. So notice them early and drop back and say, what does this place really need? And when we're in relationship with other people, we can ask that question too. What does this person really need? What does this planet really need? What does this town really need? What does this company really need? What does this organization really need? Like, what's at the root of it? Because in this moment, all of our problems, the volume's been turned way up. All of our problems, whatever existed there before, the volume's been turned up. So this is a really creative time to go back and look at why and how am I doing what I'm doing? Why and how am I making these choices? So Liz said, interesting to think about our coping mechanisms as a playlist. Yeah, it is. And in Sanskrit, there's a term for this. It's called samskara. So some of you may have heard this term. A samskara is like the track in a record that plays over again and again. That it's like the track that you've been on. And in some ways, our old patterns can feel safe. So for my friend, drinking was a real mechanism for her to escape difficult circumstances she was in before she had other coping mechanisms. And so in this moment, for her to be able to say, wait a minute, now I have coping mechanisms. I don't need to go back to that. That's a really important step. The other point that I really want to mention here about the playlist is usually places where you have codependency. So both the playlist, the old patterns that you're going back to, those are the places that you have codependence with. It could be alcohol, it could be drugs, or it could be old relationships that you know aren't serving you, that you go back to and start picking the scab on. It could be, or looking to for love and support or sex or whatever it is that you got out of that situation. When we start to go under stressful circumstances, our codependent tendencies like go, whoom, they explode out into space. All those old codependent tendencies start to have volume. Our codependent relationships get more volume. Now, what is codependence? Let's think about codependence in a really sweet way. Codependence is a place where we get happiness from outside of ourselves, where we get satisfaction or pleasure. It's a place where we go outside of ourselves to find something that we feel is missing inside of ourselves. You can think of it that codependence is a place where we're borrowing happiness from outside of ourselves. Anybody here noticed any codependent tendencies lately? And if so, please mention them, because you're not the only one. And one of the things I've heard about this community is that people really resonate when other people share things. It makes people not feel alone. So I really encourage you to comment. Anybody here noticed a codependent tendency where a place where you're borrowing happiness from outside of yourself? Thanks, Angela. Hi, sweetie. Anybody finding places where you're borrowing happiness from outside yourself? Yes, wanting to be there for others. Eating snacks. Yeah, food is a huge place for codependence. Candy and sweets. Anybody else? You're not alone. Whatever you type in, you're not alone. Eating a lot of bad food. Looking for unconditional positive regard from others. Yes. Yes. Music. Shopping. Oh yeah, we're stuck at home with these devices where we can order whatever we want. Yes. Feeding my family so I can see their happiness. Yes. Yes. Hi, Jane. I love you. There are so many amazing souls on this. Wanting praise. Yes. Yeah. So all those places. Anybody else? Bring out some more. What about in relationships? What are the old relationship things that you're going for? Pat's the mom of the other woman who mentioned shopping. Yikes. Yeah, so anybody else? Okay, so as you silently think of your places where you're going out looking for happiness, one of mine is books, wanting the comfort and unconditional love of ex-partners. Yeah, sometimes it's easier to get unconditional love from an ex-partner than it is a current partner. And that's a really important point here, because during stressful times, a lot of people will go outside of their relationship to get the love that they think that they can get somewhere else. It's much safer to give someone love who isn't in your immediate orb of influence. And that's real. Think about it that way. Sometimes it's easier to get love from people who aren't sitting in day-to-day communion with your deep patterns and experiences. Anybody else have anything they want to share? Media binging. Yes, social media binging. Let's bring that up. How many people have been scrolling nonstop? I mentioned it before. Download that app Moment. Give yourself a time limit. It will own your life. Calling my ex. Okay, so see, that pattern is coming up again. You're not alone in that. That pattern of going back to those old wells of where we found happiness. Now, when we find a codependent pattern, what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do when we encounter a codependent pattern? The first question, and again, these concepts are universal. They're universal. You can apply them like wherever you can. The first question, again, how do I find safety in this circumstance? Why am I going outside of myself to find the happiness that I need, or the love that I need, or the connection I need? And then turning that question around, needing a dog, yes. Turning that question around and saying, what is it that this place outside of myself is giving me that I need to find inside of myself? Because here's like a big newsflash awakening. You are the only thing that is permanent in your life. Everything else will come and go. It will have its season. Even things that will last until the day you die are temporary. Because there will be the day when the person isn't there, or the dog isn't there, or the food isn't there, or the chocolate isn't there, or the alcohol isn't there. And guess what? It doesn't fix the problem. It just dulls it for a minute. It just dulls it. The type of relationships that we want to create are relationships that are safe. They're places where we can take out, and if you can think of it like a deck of cards, where you turn over, when you feel safe enough, you turn over this one card and you say to this person that you're in deep relationship with, here's what I'm feeling and here's what I need. And ask the other person, what are you feeling? What do you need? And then you can turn over another card, and I'm feeling this too. What is that part of you need? Tell me about that. What's that like? So Juan here just mentioned dreaming about my grandmother. So that's so beautiful, first of all. And now I invite you into this inquiry and the question, what was it that your grandmother gave you that you can give yourself in this moment? So there's one level that you can address it in the relationship of how can I find connection amidst this? And then there's that second layer of whatever it is that I'm seeking from outside of myself, how can I find it inside of myself? So touch is a really big thing right now, right? A lot of us can't even touch the people in our house that we love. You know, we're afraid to hug or be close or snuggle because of illness, and we're afraid to, you know, go out and see our dearest friends and, you know, the people we love and our colleagues. We're afraid to, we don't have the touch, we don't have the eye contact, we don't have the sweetness and the love that we get from these, hopefully from these relationships. So in these moments, how can I first of all give myself what it is that I'm looking for in the outside world? And to think about, we're going to do it in 3 minutes here. How can I give myself what it is that I'm seeking from outside of myself? How can I give myself the things that I'm seeking elsewhere? So one said, my grandmother personified unconditional understanding and love. That is a huge vein of insight. How can you give yourself unconditional understanding and love? Here is the opportunity of this experience. Here is the opportunity of a lifetime. How can you give yourself touch? Like, you know, have a daily massage each day. How can you give yourself intimacy? By looking inside at the places that need to be seen and felt and heard and giving them a chance to tell their stories. How can you find the places where you are sourcing happiness outside yourself, perhaps with food, and find the part of you deep down that doesn't feel nourished, and meet that place not with food, but instead with insight and wisdom and connection and truth? How can you keep turning those things where you're sourcing it outside and find it inside? So when Angela mentioned food, it gives me so much comfort. I don't know how I can give it to myself. Okay, so we're going to do it in meditation today, and I invite you, Angela, to take that into the meditation and see what you come out with on the other side. When you hit upon that vein of the places where you're sourcing happiness or joy or peace outside of yourself, take it inside, because those places, when you can give yourself love in those places, you will find freedom through this experience. This cook pot, this pressure cooker that we're all in right now, is giving us countless opportunities to find the places we've been going away from ourselves, where we've been sourcing happiness outside of ourselves, where we've been sourcing wisdom or truth outside of ourselves, and to find it instead inside. Angela, I invite you into the question, and all those who mentioned food, find the place inside of yourself that needs that deeper nourishment, that needs that deeper feeling of fullness. How are you nourishing yourself and filling yourself up in ways that aren't food? How are you giving yourself peace through the breath, through meditation, through movement, through yoga? How are we feeding ourselves with all our thoughts? How are we feeding ourselves by letting our emotions be seen and heard? How can we feed ourselves in other ways too? Okay, so appreciating and honoring how I'm bravely going through this struggle. Yes, you are, and we all are. We are all being brave, and even just showing up on this call, this experience right now, shows that you are bravely showing up to the struggle. You are willing to look inside yourself, which, by the way, big secret here, is the only place you will ever find true fulfillment, when you feel connected to your true nature. That is the only place that will ultimately satisfy the deep longing inside of yourself. Why do we seek relationships? Because for a moment, when we feel loved, when we love another, we forget about ourselves. And we feel close to God, or consciousness, or whatever it is that you feel. So find that inside, and that's the invitation for the experience today. Everybody want to try it? A little yoga nidra love. For those of you who weren't here at the beginning, oh, hello. My friends from, another friend from Israel. So many loves in Israel. Actually, you might be in, Gopi might be in India. Okay, so let's get your journal, get your pens. I actually, you know, the other thing too is like, give yourself some joy. Like, don't feel bad about giving yourself some joy. I just ordered $20 worth of writing implements in many different colors, and it has brought me so much joy. So if you're gonna be codependent, find something like, doesn't hurt anybody to be codependent with. But so anyway, so yes, I sourced a little bit of happiness outside myself buying $20 worth of colored markers, but I'm enjoying what I'm writing so much more with this rainbow of delicious writing implements. So what am I gonna write about relationships with? I'm gonna write about it with green, the color of the heart, Anahata Chakra. All right, so grab your pen and your pad of paper. I'm going to take you through an experience now. This is not a passive yoga nidra, although if you choose to make it so, you can. If you would like to just drop back and lie down and just take this whole experience internally, you have that option to do so. You have total permission, freedom. You always do. You don't need my permission, but in this experience, if you want to lie down and do that, you totally can. Otherwise, if you are going to have the writing experience, just have it on your lap. You can even write with your eyes closed. Sometimes that's fun too when you're doing these little nidra experiences. And if you don't have a pad, please go get a pad of paper. I think you're really going to get a lot out of this experience today. Okay, so starting out, closing your eyes. Taking a few grounding breaths, perhaps breathing up from the ground, up into the body, up through the body, right out the crown of the head. And then as you exhale, you breathe down through the body. Take several more of these really long, full breaths. Inhaling, breathing up through the whole body. Exhaling, grounding down. Several more full body breaths. With each inhale, drawing up from the earth whatever it is you feel you need in this moment. As you exhale, feel yourself grounding down, becoming even more fully present with just this. And now feeling the sensation of your physical body, just noticing, how are you coming into this experience? How does your mind feel? Go to your heart and ask yourself, how does my heart feel? Now, and invite in an intention for this practice. Invite in an intention to work with a relationship, whatever relationship arises. It could be a relationship with yourself, it could be a relationship with another person or nature or a thought pattern or a circumstance. Identify a relationship that needs perhaps some attention or one that you want to open up to and expand even more. Ask yourself the question, even deeper exploration of the heart. What is it that I truly want more than anything else in life? What is my heart's deepest desire? And listen for the answer very deeply. Listen for the answer. Connect with this intention. Let it give you strength and comfort in this moment. Now, take a moment to scan through the body, noticing your head, sensation of the head, the neck, shoulders, arms, and hands, chest and upper back, lower back and abdomen, hips and pelvis, upper legs, lower legs, ankles and feet. Feeling the whole body, the snapshot in time. Feeling everything that's here. With a real sense of openness and curiosity. Serving the mind. Noticing what's here. Now for this first round of writing, I invite you to reflect on your relationship with yourself. Invite in the question, what part of me wants to feel felt or seen or heard? Listen for the answer for a moment. And then notice, really notice, where are you feeling this in your body? As you feel into it, notice its texture, its feeling, the sensation, any images that arise. Asking again the question, what part of me wants to feel felt and seen and heard? And then eyes open or closed, taking your pen to the paper and writing down your experience. Seeing yourself, letting yourself be seen and heard. Writing freestyle, you don't have to think about it. Just start writing what part of you wants to feel felt and seen and heard. You can even write at the top, felt, seen, heard. For those of you who are just joining, we're journaling about the question, what part of me wants to feel felt, seen, and heard? Really listen to yourself as if you would listen to your best friend. Spend about another minute and a half emptying out any extra feelings that are there, maybe even mentioning the physical sensations you feel when this arises. Finishing up whatever you're writing. Now, closing the eyes, going back inside. Noticing how your body feels now. What is present in the body? What is present in the mind? Feeling the fullness of this present moment. Feeling the whole experience of being you in this moment. Now, allow for an image of someone or something that you're in relationship with. Could be a lover, a colleague, family member, friend. Allow the image of this person to arise in front of you. And spend a moment really opening up to whatever reminds you of them. The way they look, the feeling of their presence. The general background feeling of their presence, and then feeling into this moment. How do they feel in this moment? Notice what they're, just as you did with yourself, allow the thought to arise, what is present in their body? What is their body feeling? And you might have a preconditioned thought that arises. Notice that. But then actually go into your body and feel them as if you were feeling yourself. Feeling their physical body. And this time, really encouraging you to keep the eyes closed if you'd like. Just start writing down words. What do you feel in your body as you sense this other person's or this other thing? Notice what arises. Those of you who are just joining or noticing another person and what their physical body feels like, someone close to us. Maybe not physically, but a person in our life. As you're feeling this other person or thing, notice how this may start to expand, how emotions may start to come up. What emotions is this person feeling? Start writing them down. And now as you're feeling this other person, their body, their mind, ask yourself the same question we asked of ourselves. What does this person want or need to feel really felt, seen, and heard? What does this person need to feel felt, seen, and heard? Don't think your way through it. Really feel your way through as if you are them. Take about another minute to get down whatever is present. Now close your eyes again. Feel yourself fully, all the sensations that are present as you feel yourself. And then feel the other person. Everything present as you feel this other person so fully. Now feel the connection between you and this other person. Ask yourself the question, what does this connection need to feel truly healthy, to feel connected and whole? Does this connection need in this moment? Is there something to say, something to do, some action that's being asked of you to honor this connection with this other person? And then listen deeply for the answer. Letting it be revealed rather than intellectually going to look for it. Take a moment to write down whatever it is that you feel this relationship, this connection needs. Also writing down any actions that need to be taken to honor this connection, this relationship. Finish up whatever you're writing. And you can place your writing down. Take a moment to close the eyes once more and then drop back into the stillness that holds us at this moment and every moment of our life. Feel into the love that lives in us, that surrounds us. Feel yourself a part of that field of love. Each inhale, breathing in whatever love you feel you need to receive. Each exhale, breathing that out for all beings. Take 3 more deep breaths like this, breathing in whatever it is you need, breathing out, sending it out to all beings. making a very sincere, very heartfelt intention to carry a feeling of peace and love with you as you re-enter your day and your life, approaching life with a sense of love. That whatever you touch today, whatever person you reach out to will feel your love. That you are open to receiving their love in the way they're able to give it. Knowing those two aren't always the same. Feel this love as a constant experience. May all beings know this love as their true nature. May it be a constant experience. May we see constant reminders of it. And the connection and the support of each other, our families, our friends, nature. Feeling the embrace, the deep touch of this, deep connection of this. Thank you so much for joining today. Hope the experience was meaningful for you. May we live love with all our thoughts, words, and deeds. The Facebook Live or the Instagram Live is ended, but for Facebook, if anyone has anything they would like to share, an insight or a gem or a jewel from their experience, something that arose for you, you can feel free to type it into the chat, knowing that these insights are really valuable for people as they go on their own path, their own quest. Maybe it was something from the journaling, something from the discussion, something you discovered in yourself. Feel free to share it in the comments. And to feel the love, if you'd like, of this group. We'll stay on for another 2 or 3 minutes. Just feeling the love in this space of deep connection. Thank you, Kathy. Ray says, a connection occurs when my words and thoughts are heard and acknowledged. Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else have anything they would like to share? Hi, Marcia. Sending you love and prayers to Ishwari, sending love and prayers to Israel. Marcia says, at the core, we are all the same. The answer is always love. Yes. Whatever the question is, the answer is always love. All right, we will end here. Thank you all so much for being a part of this experience. Please know how much I value you, how much I value our time together, which I don't take for granted that you're here with us. Thank you for being here with us. If you need anything, please let me know. If you feel inspired to make an offering for this experience, there are links to PayPal and to Venmo in the text of this experience. So thank you. Be well, be happy, know you're loved. Bye.